The codename Wraith still echoed in the back of my mind. I was an elite operative, retired now, and all I wanted was a quiet life as a live-in husband. But then, I accidentally stumbled into an ability to read minds. Suddenly, my Ice Queen wife, my venomous mother-in-law, and my spoiled brat sister-in-law held no secrets from me. What they said out loud and what they thought in their heads. Two totally different stories. For 3 years, I'd been their resident loser, a spineless kept man. My mother-in-law, Brenda, would curse me, get out. But her mind was busy calculating how to trick me into revealing Audrey's secret savings. My sister-in-law, Chloe, would call me garbage, but in her head, she'd be shrieking, OMG, he actually looks kind of hot buying groceries today. Heh, they thought I was an amateur. Sorry, I'm a pro. All their schemes, they're an open book to me. Starting today, I'm done pretending. I'm rewriting their whole damn story. I'm not just protecting my peace. I'm protecting my outwardly cold, inwardly warm, and totally contradictory Ice Queen wife. Mini scene, Audrey, Ethan, here are the divorce papers. Sign them. Heart's voice, no. I don't really want a divorce. Grandpa's forcing me. I just want to scare him a little. Why isn't he begging me? Idiot. Me, oh, okay. Got a pen. Heart's voice. Playing hard to get, huh? Let's see who blinks first. Audrey. You really want to leave me that badly? Heart's voice. Say no. Say you love me. Please me. Nah, never mind. Pen's out of ink. Ethan, how long are you going to sleep? Even sloths get up earlier than you. My mother-in-law's voice, a screechy soprano like a rusty drill, accurately pierced my eardrums. I shot awake. The chintzy chandelier on the ceiling swayed slightly, scattering fractured specks of light. This was my 3rd year living under the Hayes roof, and the 1095th morning I'd woken up to Brenda's daily wake-up call. My name is Ethan Reed. 3 years ago, I was Wraith, a force in the shadows. The blood on my hands, the secret missions I'd executed, they were enough to give any normal person nightmares for life. But now, my identity was Ethan Reed, husband to Silverwood City's most gorgeous CEO, Audrey Hayes. I was a stay-at-home husband, or, as they put it, a kept man. Did you hear me? Get your butt down here and make breakfast. Audrey and Chloe are starving. Having a good-for-nothing like you around is the worst luck in 8 lifetimes. Brenda's shouts echoed from downstairs, full of her usual venom. I sighed, accepting my fate, and crawled out of bed. 3 years of this life had rounded off most of my edges. These hands, which could once snap a man's neck with ease, were now most skilled at flipping a pancake and julienning carrots. As I rubbed my blurry eyes, preparing to get out of bed, a strange voice suddenly popped into my head without warning. That good-for-nothing is finally awake. Humph. Later, when Audrey leaves for work, I'll fry him those old frozen fish fillets Maria bought yesterday. If it doesn't kill him, it'll at least make him sick for days. Let's see if he dares to sleep in then. My body stiffened, and I froze. What was that sound? Was I hearing things? I shook my head. The voice was as clear as if someone were whispering in my ear, and the tone, the malicious scheming. It sounded exactly like my dear mother-in-law. I frowned, slipped on my house shoes, and walked out of the room. In the living room, Brenda was lounging on the sofa, a green face mask plastered on, remote in hand, flicking through channels. She rolled her eyes at me. Her words were as cutting as ever. Dragging your feet. Are we going to a beauty pageant? Get in there and make breakfast. But then the voice in my head spoke again. Look at him, still half asleep. I just want to smack him with my slipper. Once I get my hands on that Hayes Family Trust Fund, the first thing I'll do is package up that loser and his dead old man's ashes and dump them in the lake for the fish. My pupils contracted sharply. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had squeezed it tight. This time, I was absolutely sure. It wasn't my imagination. I could hear her thoughts. The realization sent a chill down my spine, followed by a sensation so absurd it was almost comical. I've been an operative for so many years, faced countless life or death situations, relying on my extraordinary observation skills and judgment, but I'd never encountered anything so bizarre. What are you staring at? Get to the kitchen. Brenda felt uneasy under my gaze, her masked eyebrows furrowing. What's with that look? Like an X-ray. It's making me nervous. Does he know what I'm thinking? Impossible, absolutely impossible. I must be watching too many reality TV dramas lately, scaring myself. I pulled my gaze away and silently headed for the kitchen. So, for 3 years, behind that fake smile she'd worn every day, lay such pure, undisguised malice. I took out eggs, bacon, and toast and started preparing breakfast. The butter sizzled in the pan, and the aroma quickly filled the air. Just then, my sister-in-law, Chloe Hayes, emerged from her room, yawning. She was in pink lace PJs, her curly hair a bird's nest. Seeing me, she habitually pursed her lips. "Hey, loser, my eggs better be over hard, and the toast crunchy, or I'm not eating it," she demanded imperiously. Humph, eating his cooking every day is so boring. But honestly, this loser's cooking is actually pretty good, better than fancy restaurants. I'll eat an extra 2 slices later, drain him dry. Yesterday's new game upgrade is so pretty, but I don't have enough allowance. Maybe I'll swipe $100 from his wallet when he's not looking. He's a grown man. He won't even notice 100 missing. My hand, poised over the frying pan, paused. The corner of my eye twitched. Well, isn't this family quite the pair? One wants to poison me. The other wants to steal my money. Soon my wife, Audrey Hayes, also came downstairs. She wore a tailored black power suit, accentuating her tall figure and cool demeanor. Her beautiful face was expressionless, like an ice queen. She walked to the dining table and sat down, not even glancing at me, merely stating, "My coffee." For 3 years, those 3 words were almost all she ever said to me. I silently placed the freshly brewed black coffee in front of her. As I set the cup down, my fingertip accidentally brushed her hand. The cool touch, followed by a completely different inner voice, flowed into my mind. Couldn't sleep again last night. The Southside Project's bid still has holes, and Mr. Harrison seems to be making some moves behind the scenes. I need to watch out for him. So tired. His hand is still so warm. I don't know why, but every time he finishes cooking, he carries a faint scent of home cooking. It smells kind of comforting. Was my tone too cold just now? Will he think I'm ordering him around? Ugh, I just don't know how to talk to him. We're married, but it's more awkward than with strangers. My hand, holding the plate, froze in midair. I stared at Audrey, dumbfounded. She still maintained her icy composure, sipping her coffee delicately, her long eyelashes lowered, concealing all emotion in her eyes. But what I just heard was a voice so soft, so weary, even tinged with a hint of helplessness. Turns out, beneath that ice mountain, there lay an unknown, warm ocean. For 3 years, I'd always assumed she married me only to honor her grandfather's dying wish, and that she felt nothing but annoyance and disregard for me. I never imagined her thoughts were like this. "What are you standing there for?" Daydreaming. Brenda's impatient shouts snapped me out of it. I came back to myself and set the breakfast dishes on the table. "Audrey, you have to see this news," Chloe suddenly exclaimed, holding up her phone. "Oh my God, the CEO of Sterling Group, the company we're partnering with on the Southside development, dropped dead of a heart attack last night." "What?" Audrey's face changed. She immediately pulled out her own phone. I glanced at the news headline, my gaze narrowing slightly. Sterling Group, CEO drops dead. These words made some long-buried memories stir within me. This is it, we're done for. Brenda leaned in to look, forgetting all about her face mask. "Audrey, Hayes Corp invested so much into that project. Now, the Sterling CEO is dead. The project's definitely going to fall through. Our $70 million isn't just going down the drain, is it? Oh my God, that was $70 million. If this falls through, my designer bags, my diamond jewelry, my luxury trip to the Hamptons next month, all gone. No, I need to quickly transfer my secret savings. This Hayes ship looks like it's sinking." Chloe also panicked. "Audrey, are we going to go bankrupt? How am I going to buy my limited edition designer bags next month? Bankrupt? No, I haven't even become Silverwood City's top socialite yet. I haven't even married that handsome Thornair. Ethan, that loser, he's such a jinx. Ever since he came into our family, nothing good has happened." Suddenly, the dining room was filled with their chirping complaints and panic. Only Audrey, after her initial shock, quickly regained her composure. She pressed her lips together tightly, her fingers rapidly scrolling on her phone, checking related information. But I could clearly hear the storm raging within her. "It's over. With the Sterling CEO dead, his good-for-nothing son, Victor Thorne, will definitely take over. Victor is a total idiot, and he's always making creepy advances on me. He'll definitely use the project to strong-arm me. What do? I can't let Grandpa's life's work be ruined in my hands. But do I really have to deal with that kind of scumbag for the company? So helpless. If only Grandpa were still here. Now there's no one I can even talk to. Ethan, he can't help with anything except cooking. Why am I even hoping for him? I watched her tightly grip her phone, her knuckles white from the effort. That facade of strength made my heart ache inexplicably. For 3 years, I had upheld my promise to her grandfather, hiding everything about myself, diligently playing the role of a kept man, never interfering in her affairs. But today, hearing her inner helplessness, I found I couldn't do it anymore. I silently picked up a piece of toast, took a bite, then, as if talking to myself or casually commenting on the news, I spoke calmly. Sterling Group, the CEO's death is suspicious. His son, Victor Thorne, I've heard of him. Gambling, drugs, and shady dealings. He's got it all, and a mountain of debt. Now that he's taking over, his first priority will definitely be to find a way to liquidate assets. He won't let Hayes Corp's project fall through. On the contrary, he'll be desperate to sign the contract to get the money to cover his debts. My voice wasn't loud, but it was like a pebble dropped into a noisy pond. Brenda and Chloe's complaints instantly stopped. They stared at me as if I were a monster. What do you, a loser, know about anything? Brenda was the first to react, scoffing. Besides knowing which supermarket has cheap onions, what do you know about major business dealings? Spouting nonsense. How does he know Victor has debt? Did he read it in some trashy tabloid? He's definitely just guessing, pretending to be a big shot. Chloe also chimed in. Yeah, you're a stay-at-home husband. What are you doing pretending to be a business mogul? So ridiculous. Huh, the way he just analyzed that. He sounded like a CEO in a movie. It's just my imagination. It has to be. How could a loser be so cool? Their mockery didn't bother me in the slightest. My gaze remained fixed on Audrey. She didn't speak, but she looked up, those cool eyes for the first time seriously studying me, filled with shock and curiosity, because what I had just said had almost perfectly answered all her doubts and pointed her toward a clear path forward. Yes, Victor Thorne would be desperate to sign. She wouldn't need to deal with that idiot. She just needed to aggressively slap a contract more favorable to Hayes Corp in his face. Needing money, he would definitely sign. Her mind, at this moment, was a raging tempest. How did he know? Victor's dirty laundry is supposed to be confidential in this circle. How could a man who stays home all day know so much? Could it be? He's not what I thought he was. I met her gaze, a faint, almost imperceptible curve playing on my lips. Dear wife, our game is about to change. This morning, I not only awakened my mind-reading ability, but also something I had deliberately suppressed for 3 years. Like a man's protective instinct. Breakfast ended in an eerie silence. Audrey, uncharacteristically, didn't leave immediately. She lingered for an extra 5 minutes, her eyes occasionally flicking towards me, filled with complex, unreadable emotions. Who is he really? How could a regular guy have such insight? Why did Grandpa insist I marry him 3 years ago when he was so sick? There must be something I don't know. I pretended not to notice, concentrating on finishing the last piece of bacon on my plate. Want to know who I am? Take your time, wife. The fun of life is in solving the mystery. Audrey, what are you spacing out for? You'll be late for work. Chloe urged. Audrey snapped back to reality, stood up, and picked up her handbag. Mom, I'm heading to the office. Go, be careful on the road. Brenda immediately put on her doting mother's smile, watching Audrey leave. The moment the front door closed, her smile vanished, and she turned to me, her face resuming its usual cutting expression. Ethan, we're out of soy sauce. Go buy a bottle. Also, Chloe wants sweet and sour ribs, so go to the supermarket and get some fresh pork ribs. Remember, get the good quality ribs. Don't let them trick you into buying the cheap stuff. Humph, let this loser run some errands, so he's not in the way. It would be even better if he got hit by a car, then I could get a nice insurance payout. I scoffed inwardly. More people want me dead than you can count. You're not even close to the top of the list. Got it, I replied, grabbing a shopping bag and my wallet, preparing to leave. I want to go too. Chloe suddenly jumped up from the sofa. I want to get the newest bubble tea. Loser, you could be my chauffeur. Brenda immediately objected. Chloe, why would you go out with him? It's beneath you. Chloe pouted, wrapping her arms around Brenda's. Oh, Mom, I'm just getting a bubble tea. What's wrong with him driving me? Plus, I can supervise him buying the ribs, so he doesn't skimp. Haha, mainly I want him to pay for my bubble tea. I still owe money for my new game upgrade. Hearing her thoughts, I almost burst out laughing. This little girl really wore her scheming on her face. In the end, Brenda couldn't argue with her and reluctantly agreed. I drove the family's cheapest economy car, taking Chloe towards the city's largest supermarket. All the way there, Chloe was in the back seat, loudly scrolling through TikTok videos, her phone blaring various noisy music and laughter. This guy actually drives pretty steadily, and he's not bad-looking, but he's such a pushover, no masculinity at all. If my future boyfriend were such a wimp, I'd break his legs. But when he talked back to Mom earlier, he actually seemed kind of hot. Ugh, no, Chloe, what are you thinking? He's a loser. I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Her expressions changed faster than turning a page, from frowning to blushing. This mind-reading ability, sometimes it really was quite amusing. At the supermarket, the familiar blend of fish, fresh produce, and everyday hustle enveloped me. It made my nerves, tightly wound for 3 years, finally relax a little. Hey, hurry up. I'm going to wait in line at that trendy bubble tea shop up front. Find me after you buy the ribs, Chloe urged, pinching her nose in disgust. Got it. I navigated the market with practiced ease, heading straight for the butcher. Excuse me, 2 pounds of good quality pork ribs, please, I said. The butcher, a burly man with a rough face, glanced at me. With a swift chop, he cut a piece of ribs and tossed it onto the scale. 2.5 pounds, $60. I narrow my eyes. From years of experience, that piece of ribs was at most 2 pounds, and clearly the tougher, lower quality kind. In the past, for the sake of family harmony, I would usually just let these minor rip-offs slide. But today, I wasn't in the mood to put up with it. Just as I was about to speak, a thought drifted into my mind. Heh, another sucker. This lower quality rib has been frozen for 3 days. Perfect for him. Look at his soft hands. He's definitely a clueless pretty boy. I smiled. Excuse me. I picked up the ribs, flicked them with my finger, producing a clear sound. These ribs, they've been frozen for more than a day, haven't they? And this is the cheaper cut. Do you think I've never seen fresh pork before? The butcher's face instantly changed, his eyes darting. Yo, what are you talking about? My meat is all fresh. Damn it. I ran into an expert. How did this guy figure it out? I tossed the ribs back onto the cutting board. My voice was low, but carried an undeniable authority. Give me a fresh cut of good quality ribs. Make sure the scale is accurate. Otherwise, I'll call the market manager over, and we can have a nice chat about your scales calibration. My gaze was calm, as if I were simply stating a fact. This was a tactic I often used during interrogations. The calmer I was, the greater the psychological pressure on the other person. Sure enough, the butcher's forehead broke out in sweat under my stare, his mental defenses crumbling completely. Damn it, this guy's tough. His eyes are like knives. Forget it, business is about making money. No point of fending a hard case for a few bucks. He immediately put on a fawning smile and deftly cut me a prime piece of ribs, even showing me the scale as he waited. Little brother, you truly have a good eye. I grabbed the wrong one just now. Take this one. I'll give it to you for $50. I paid, grabbed the ribs, and turned to leave, hearing the butcher's sigh of relief behind me. This small victory put me in a good mood. However, as I made my way through the crowded market, preparing to find Chloe, the corner of my eye caught a familiar figure. It was a man in a black jacket and a baseball cap, pretending to pick oranges at a fruit stall, but his gaze, through the gaps in the crowd, was locked on me. My body instantly went on high alert. I knew that man. His name was Scorpion, a low-level lookout from the criminal organization I'd infiltrated years ago. Why was he here? Was it a coincidence, or was he after me? My mind raced. My retirement was top secret. Only a few high-ranking officials knew my new identity. Had there been a leak in the organization? Or was there still someone at large from the case years ago? I didn't make a sound, pretending not to notice anything, and continued walking. At the same time, I observed Scorpion's every move through the reflection in a nearby shop window. He followed. My heart sank. Not a coincidence, then. Trouble. My biggest fear had come true. I just wanted a peaceful life, but my past, like a parasitic worm, wouldn't let me go. No, I couldn't make a move here. Too many people, and Chloe was still around. I had to find a way to shake him and figure out what he wanted. I walked into a spice shop, feigning interest in soy sauce. I could feel Scorpion stop just outside the shop, watching me out of the corner of his eye. I picked up a bottle of soy sauce, and his thoughts simultaneously echoed in my mind. It's Rafe. It's definitely him. The looks changed, but that aura, no mistake. The boss said he'd give me $1 million if I found him. I'm rich. Why does the boss want him? Is it because of the shipment from 3 years ago? Doesn't matter. Just stick close, figure out where he lives, then report back to the boss. The shipment from 3 years ago. My heart thumped. That was the core of the entire case. A stash of contraband large enough to shake the entire Asian underground trading network. At the time, we, the authorities, intercepted most of it, but a small portion was said to be missing. And I was the only operative who had access to all the information about that shipment. It seemed they weren't here for revenge, but to find clues about that stash. This was more troublesome than revenge. It meant that as long as they didn't find the goods, they wouldn't leave me alone. More importantly, they had already targeted me and would soon track down the Hayes family, track down Audrey. I absolutely could not let Audrey and her family be put in danger because of me. I took a deep breath, and a plan instantly formed in my mind. I paid, walked out of the store with the soy sauce and ribs, and deliberately headed toward the secluded, unmonitored alley. Scorpion followed, as expected. Entering the alley, I rounded a corner, immediately set down my bags, and my entire aura instantly changed. The lazy, stay-at-home husband vibe vanished without a trace, replaced by a dangerous, sharp intensity, like a cheetah on the hunt. 3 years of peaceful life hadn't blunted my instincts. Scorpion cautiously peeked in. The alley was empty. He froze for a moment, then reacted, immediately gripping the dagger hidden at his waist. Where is he? Damn it! I fell for it. The moment he thought that, I appeared behind him like a ghost, one hand like an iron clamp gripping his throat, the other easily disarming his dagger and pressing it against his waist. The entire process was as swift as lightning, without a sound. Who sent you? My voice was low, like a cold wind from the underworld. Scorpion's body stiffened, terrified. He never dreamed that a stay-at-home husband buying ribs at the supermarket could be so terrifyingly skilled. W.R. Rafe. Boss, have mercy, he stammered. It's the boss. It's the Black Serpent boss who sent me. He's out of jail. Black Serpent. Hearing that name, my pupils constricted sharply. Black Serpent, the second in command of that crime syndicate, the man I personally put behind bars. He was cunning and ruthless. I remembered clearly he was sentenced to 15 years. How could he be out already? What does he want? I tightened my grip. I don't know. The boss just told me to find you. To find your address. Scorpion grimaced in pain. The boss said to find the key to that stash. The key is on Rafe. With the key, he can rise again. The key. I immediately understood. It wasn't a real key, but an encrypted drive containing the overseas accounts and delivery routes for that contraband. During the chaos of the operation, for safety, I had hidden it in a place no one would ever think of. Black Serpent was still after it. Go back and tell Black Serpent. I tapped his face with the flat of the dagger's blade. The key has been destroyed. Tell him to stop bothering me. Otherwise, next time, it won't be just a warning. With that, I used a bit of force and knocked him unconscious. I stripped him of all his communication devices. Then, as if nothing had happened, picked up the ribs and soy sauce from the ground and walked out of the alley. The sun shone down on me again, but I felt no warmth. Black Serpent was out of jail and still obsessed with the key. This meant my peaceful life was over. I not only had to protect Audrey and her family, but also find a way to completely eliminate the enormous threat of Black Serpent. When I reached the bubble tea shop, Chloe was holding a cup of bubble tea, tapping her foot impatiently. What took you so long? You're so slow, she complained. Where did this guy go? Why does he smell? Like a killer? Ugh, Chloe, have you been reading too many novels? How could a loser have a killer aura? It's probably just the smell of pork. So gross. I looked at her innocent yet disgusted face, and for the first time, I felt that ignorance was also a kind of bliss. Let's go home. I said calmly, my gaze unconsciously drifting towards the turbulent sky in the distance. The storm, after all, had arrived. Back home, Brenda was lounging in the living room, watching a trashy reality show. Seeing us return, she commanded without looking up, "Ethan, hurry up and make dinner. I'm starving. Did you buy the ribs? Did they rip you off?" "They're fine," I replied, walking into the kitchen. Chloe set her bubble tea on the table, sidled up to Brenda, and whispered, "Mom, I have to tell you, Ethan, that loser seemed a little different today." "Different how? Did he dare to give you attitude?" Brenda immediately perked up. "No, not that." Chloe vividly described the scene at the supermarket. When he talked to that butcher, his eyes were super fierce, and he scared the guy into a cold sweat. And when he came back just now, I felt like he had this indescribable aura, cold and kind of scary. Did I imagine it? Is he really some kind of hidden operative? Don't all those novels say that? The live-in husband is actually a warrior king, a dragon king. Ugh, what am I thinking? He's just a loser. Brenda scoffed after hearing her. You silly girl. Are you reading too many of those ridiculous novels? Him? A hidden operative? If he's a big shot, I'm the Queen of England. I think he was just putting on an act to scare some honest folks. If he's so tough, let him try that attitude with me. If that loser dared to challenge me, I'd immediately tell Audrey to divorce him, kick him out with nothing, and let him sleep under a bridge. Listening to the mother and daughter's discussion in the living room, I just shook my head, focusing on the ribs in my hands. Right now, I wasn't in the mood to argue with them. Black Serpent's reappearance weighed heavily on me. I had to resolve this problem quickly, or the Hayes family would never know peace. Audrey returned home for dinner, her face looking even worse than when she'd left that morning. She sat down at the dining table without a word, not even glancing at the spread of dishes, a deep cloud of worry etched on her brows. "Audrey, what's wrong? Is work not going well?" Brenda asked, a rare show of concern. "It's definitely about that Sterling Group project." "Oh no, my trip to Europe is ruined. It's all Ethan's fault, that jinx." Audrey wearily pinched the bridge of her nose. "Victor Thorne wants to meet me tomorrow. The location is the Obsidian Club. He specified that I should come alone." The Obsidian Club? My hand, serving soup, paused. That place was all too familiar to me. Silverwood City's most exclusive, yet shady, hotspot. It was one of Black Serpent's most important hideouts back in the day. Even though it had been cleaned up after Black Serpent's downfall, its roots were rotten through and through. Victor setting the meeting there, and specifying Audrey come alone, his intentions were obvious. That Victor Thorne is no good. Brenda also realized, slamming her hand on the table. "Audrey, you can't go. That place clearly isn't reputable. He definitely has ill intentions. That murderous Victor Thorne, daring to scheme against my daughter. If anything happens to Audrey, who will make money for me to spend?" Chloe also said nervously, "Audrey, don't go. It's too dangerous." Audrey gave a bitter smile. "Don't go. If I don't go, the project is completely dead. Our company's initial investment of $70 million will truly go down the drain. Then, the company's cash flow will break, and we'll be close to bankruptcy." Her words silenced Brenda and Chloe. Indeed, on one side was a lion's den, on the other a bottomless abyss. Audrey's heart was filled with struggle. Victor Thorne, that scumbag, I've heard all about his reputation. If I go tomorrow, I'll definitely be humiliated or even. But for the company, for Grandpa's life's work, if only someone could help me. But who can help me? The company directors are all waiting to see me fail. Ethan, I can't even count on him. Her gaze instinctively swept over me, then quickly moved away, carrying a hint of disappointment. I sighed inwardly. It seemed it was time to show her what kind of man her kept-man husband truly was. "I'll go," I said calmly, putting down my soup bowl. Instantly, 3 pairs of eyes, 6 gazes all focused on me, filled with shock, disbelief, and disdain. "You go." Brenda burst into exaggerated laughter, as if she'd heard the funniest joke. "Ethan, are you out of your mind? What are you going to do? Serve them tea and water, or perform a brick-breaking trick?" I'm dying laughing. This loser actually thinks he's important. Him? Victor could crush him with one finger. Chloe also scoffed unceremoniously. "Bro-in-law, seriously, don't be ridiculous. This is a business negotiation, not buying groceries at the supermarket." Your trick of scaring the butcher won't do squat in front of Mr. Thorne. Even Audrey frowned, looking at me coldly. Ethan, this isn't something you should meddle in. Staying home and being safe is the biggest help you can give me. What is he trying to do? Show off? Or does he think I'm truly desperate and wants to play the hero? He has no idea what kind of person Victor Thorne is. He'll only make things worse. Their reactions were all within my expectations. I remained calm, simply looking at Audrey, and said earnestly, someone like Victor Thorne, if you go to talk, he'll just manipulate you. If I go, there's still a chance. A chance? What chance could you possibly have? Brenda sneered. I ignored her and continued speaking to Audrey. Give me the Southside Project documents and that more favorable contract you redrafted. Tomorrow, I'll go to the Obsidian Club. You just wait for my call at the office. My tone was calm, yet it carried an irresistible power of persuasion. Audrey seemed a little uncomfortable under my gaze. She had never seen me like this. The old Ethan always kept his head down in front of her, docile as a cat. But the me before her now had deep eyes, a powerful aura, like a beast in slumber. His gaze, it's so intense. Why is he so confident? What makes him so sure? But what if he really has a way? His analysis of Victor this morning was eerily accurate. Maybe I should trust him this once. Her mind was in turmoil. Audrey, don't listen to his nonsense. He's crazy. Brenda continued to stir the pot. But Audrey made a decision that surprised everyone. She took a deep breath, stood up, and said to me, come with me to the study. With that, she turned and walked away. Brenda and Chloe were stunned. I followed Audrey into the study. This was the first time in 3 years I had stepped into her private space. The study was tidy, and the air was filled with a faint scent of ink and her unique, cool fragrance. She took a file from a safe and handed it to me. These are all the project documents and the new contract. Her voice was still cool, but her eyes held a solemnity I had never seen before. Ethan, I don't know who you really are or what your intentions are, but I'll choose to trust you this once. If you can pull this off, then from now on, I'll ensure your standing in this family. Take a gamble, Audrey Hayes. You have no other choice. If he fails, at worst the company goes bankrupt, and I'm humiliated by Victor. If he succeeds, she didn't say what would happen if I succeeded, but her thoughts told me everything. I took the file and nodded. Don't worry, by 3 p.m. tomorrow, you'll receive a call from Victor Thorne, actively asking to sign the contract. With that, I turned and left the study. Audrey was left alone, standing there, staring at my retreating back, lost in thought. He looked like he could actually handle everything. Did I have him wrong all this time? The next day, I didn't go buy groceries or cook breakfast as usual. Instead, I put on a suit that Audrey had bought for me, but I had never worn. The man in the mirror was tall and distinguished, with sharp eyes. The Ethan Reed that was Wraith had returned. Well, the loser in a suit actually looks half decent, Chloe said snidely, leaning against the doorway. But clothes make the man, I guess. He actually looks pretty good. But is he going to get beaten to a pulp by Victor? I ignored her, walked straight out the door, and took a cab to the Obsidian Club. I didn't go directly to Victor. Instead, I went to the club's security office first. The security guard saw me and immediately stood up, intending to stop me. I pulled out a small, unassuming badge from my pocket and flashed it in front of him. It was a sword emblem, set against a dark red background. The guard's face instantly went ashen, his legs went weak, and he almost dropped to his knees. See, sir, he stammered, his voice filled with fear. That badge was the identification for our secret department back then. Although the department had long been disbanded, its deterrent power still existed in certain circles. This guard was clearly a veteran and not a low-ranking one. He recognized the badge. Which room is Victor Thorne in? Pull up his surveillance feed, muted. Whatever happens here today, you saw nothing, understand? I commanded coldly. Why, yes, sir. The guard nodded frantically, immediately complying. Soon, Victor's private room appeared on the screen. It was a lavish, gilded private room. Victor was surrounded by a few of his cronies, drinking and boasting, with women draped over him. He had shifty eyes and a dissipated look, clearly a good-for-nothing. Damn it, that Audrey Hayes, that little bitch, actually stood me up. Victor grumbled. When she gets here, I'm gonna make her beg for it. A blonde henchman flattered. Mr. Thorne is amazing. Audrey Hayes is Silverwood City's top beauty. If you can get her, Mr. Thorne, that would truly be the envy of everyone. Victor laughed smugly. That's right. Once I get my hands on her and take over Hayes Corp., then the whole of Silverwood City will be mine. Watching his ugly face on the screen, my eyes hardened. I took out my phone and dialed a long and used number. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. Who is this? A deep, authoritative voice came from the other end. Colonel, it's me, Wraith. There was a full 10 seconds of silence on the other end. Then, the old man known as the Colonel spoke, his voice slightly trembling with excitement. A little Ethan? You're still alive. I'm doing great, I said calmly. Colonel, I need a small favor. Can you dig up all the dirt on Victor Thorne of Sterling Group? The nastier, the better, and as detailed as possible. Send it to my phone within 10 minutes. No problem. Forget 10 minutes. I'll have it for you in 5. The Colonel agreed without hesitation. You rascal, you retired and never even contacted us old-timers. Did you forget all about us? Never. I'll treat you to tea after I've handled this. I hung up the phone and quietly watched the surveillance screen, like a patient hunter, waiting for the optimal moment. Less than 5 minutes later, my phone received an encrypted file. I tapped it open, a cold smile playing on my lips. Victor Thorne's dirty laundry was even more impressive than I imagined. Tax evasion, embezzlement, violent debt collection, illegal gambling, and even involvement in a few missing persons cases. Any one of these things was enough to put him away for life. Good. The bait was ready. Time to go fishing. I turned off the monitor, left the security room, and walked straight to Victor's private room. When I pushed open the door, Victor was holding a glass of wine, spewing boastful nonsense about his legendary exploits. The loud sound of the door opening interrupted him, and all eyes shot towards me. Who the hell are you? Don't you know how to knock? A blonde henchman growled impatiently. Victor squinted at me, his eyes filled with annoyance at the interruption. What do you want? I ignored the small-timers, walked directly to Victor, and slammed the contract Audrey had prepared onto the table in front of him with a smack. Hayes Corp., Ethan Reed. I introduced myself, my voice not loud, but clear enough for everyone to hear. Ms. Hayes is busy today. I am her full representative here to discuss the South Side project. The entire room fell silent. A few seconds later, deafening laughter erupted. Ha ha, did I hear that right? Audrey Hayes sent some pretty boy to talk to me. Victor laughed, doubling over, tears almost streaming from his eyes. Does she think if she sends a guy, I won't dare touch her? Naive. Mr. Thorne, this kid's actually kind of handsome. Did Audrey change her taste? Doesn't like tough guys anymore, prefers these delicate types. I think he's not here to negotiate. He's here to take a beating for Audrey, isn't he? The mocking voices rose and fell. I remained expressionless. Once they'd had their fill of laughter, I slowly spoke. Mr. Thorne, my time is limited. This contract, will you sign it or not? My calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to the surrounding noise. Victor stopped laughing, his face darkening. He picked up the contract, casually flipped through a couple of pages, then ripped it in half with a rip, throwing the pieces in my face. Sign? I'll sign your mother. Who do you think you are, daring to negotiate with me? He pointed a finger at my nose, arrogantly cursing. Go back and tell that bitch Audrey Hayes if she wants to talk, she can clean herself up and come to my room personally. Otherwise, she won't get a single cent back from the South Side project. The paper scraps fluttered down from my face. I remained unfazed, merely lightly brushing non-existent dust from my shoulder. Mr. Thorne, it seems you're not planning to negotiate properly. I sighed, a hint of regret in my tone. I originally wanted to give you a dignified opportunity. Unfortunately, you don't want it. With that, I took out my phone, opened the encrypted file, and pushed it towards him. What is this? Victor glanced at it dismissively. A small gift, I said calmly. It's a record of how you've been running illegal gambling websites overseas, laundering $37 million, and 3 years ago, the full account of how you forced your cousin, Veronica Thorne, to her death. The moment my words fell, Victor's face went white as a sheet. He snatched the phone, his eyes fixed on the text and images on the screen, his body beginning to tremble uncontrollably. It detailed every one of his money transfers, server IP addresses, and even screenshots of his chat logs with his key associates. What terrified him most was the section about his cousin, Veronica Thorne. There was an audio recording, precisely the conversation from 3 years ago where he had coerced and blackmailed her, ultimately leading to her desperate suicide jump. He had thought he'd covered his tracks perfectly, unnoticed by anyone. How could this? You? Who are you? Victor looked up, staring at me in terror, his voice shaking. His cronies also sensed something was wrong, their smiles frozen. I didn't answer his question. Instead, I took out an identical contract from my pocket and gently placed it on the table. Mr. Thorne now, can we have a proper talk? I asked with a smile that, to him, was more terrifying than a devil's. I. Victor's lips trembled, unable to utter a single word. I retrieved my phone, leisurely sat on the sofa opposite him, poured myself a drink, and slowly savored it. I'll give you 3 minutes to consider. I swirled the red liquid in my glass. After 3 minutes, if this contract isn't signed, then this gift on my phone will be simultaneously sent to the SEC, the IRS, and major news outlets. At that point, forget Sterling Group. It's debatable whether you yourself will see tomorrow's sunrise. My voice was light, yet it struck Victor's heart like a heavy hammer. The private room was dead silent. Everyone was stunned by this sudden turn of events. They never imagined that this seemingly refined man had such ruthless methods, delivering a killing blow with his first move. Victor's forehead was beaded with cold sweat. He looked at the contract on the table, then at me, his eyes filled with fear and struggle. He knew I wasn't joking. Anyone capable of obtaining such information possessed power beyond his imagination. If he dared to say no, his fate would undoubtedly be miserable. Time ticked by, second by agonizing second. Every second was torture for Victor. Finally, in a last minute, his psychological defenses completely collapsed. Then, the old man known as the Colonel spoke, his voice slightly trembling with excitement. A little Ethan? You're still alive? I'm doing great, I said calmly. Colonel, I need a small favor. Can you dig up all the dirt on Victor Thorne of Sterling Group? The nastier, the better, and as detailed as possible. Send it to my phone within 10 minutes. No problem. Forget 10 minutes. I'll have it for you in 5. The Colonel agreed without hesitation. You rascal, you retired and never even contacted us old-timers. Did you forget all about us? Never. I'll treat you to tea after I've handled this. I hung up the phone and quietly watched the surveillance screen, like a patient hunter, waiting for the optimal moment. Less than 5 minutes later, my phone received an encrypted file. I tapped it open, a cold smile playing on my lips. Victor Thorne's dirty laundry was even more impressive than I imagined. Tax evasion, embezzlement, violent debt collection, illegal gambling, and even involvement in a few missing persons cases. Any one of these things was enough to put him away for life. Good. The bait was ready. Time to go fishing. I turned off the monitor, left the security room, and walked straight to Victor's private room. When I pushed open the door, Victor was holding a glass of wine, spewing boastful nonsense about his legendary exploits. The loud sound of the door opening interrupted him, and all eyes shot towards me. Who the hell are you? Don't you know how to knock? A blonde henchman growled impatiently. What could he do to me? I calmly countered, then walked straight upstairs to the study. Audrey was pacing anxiously in the study. Hearing the door open, she spun around. Seeing me, a flicker of surprise crossed her eyes, followed by deep worry and disappointment. He's back. So fast. Looks like he failed. Of course, why would I expect him to succeed? Now, how am I going to face Victor's retaliation? Did things go wrong? She asked, her voice carrying a barely perceptible tremor, as if she had already braced herself for the worst. I didn't speak. I simply walked over to her and placed the signed contract on her desk. I returned home at precisely 2:30 in the afternoon. Brenda and Chloe were sitting in the living room, gloating. Mom, do you think that loser has been beaten half to death by Victor? Serve him right. Overestimated himself. When he comes back with a black eye and bloody nose, I'll deal with him. Hopefully, he's crippled. Then Audrey will have a reason to divorce him. Humph! I pushed open the door, and their chattering abruptly ceased. Seeing me safe and sound, my suit pristine, without even a wrinkle, Both of them looked disappointed. You're back, Brenda stammered. Victor, he didn't do anything to you. See for yourself. Audrey froze. She picked up the contract in disbelief. When she saw Victor Thorne's flowing signature and the bright red company seal on the last page, she turned to stone. She read it repeatedly, even touching the signature with her hand, as if to confirm it wasn't an illusion. What happened? She looked up, staring at me as if I were an alien. How'd he sign it? And a contract with such harsh terms for him. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could someone like Victor Thorne give in so easily? Ethan, what did he do? Just then, Audrey's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID. It was Victor Thorne. She took a deep breath and pressed the speakerphone button. From the other end, Victor's voice came through, incredibly humble, even a little fawning. Hello, is this Ms. Hayes? Audrey paused. It is. Mr. Thorne, can I help you? Oh, please, don't call me Mr. Thorne, just call me Victor. Victor's voice sounded like he was about to cry. Ms. Hayes, I've already signed the contract. When would it be convenient to discuss the follow-up payments? We'll cooperate fully. Fully cooperate. His words not only left Audrey stunned, but also made Brenda and Chloe, eavesdropping outside the door, almost drop their jaws. Audrey froze for a full 10 seconds before finding her voice. Oh, okay. I'll have the project department contact you as soon as possible. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Well, I won't disturb you further. Oh, and by the way, Ms. Hayes, Victor paused, his tone becoming incredibly sincere. Please extend my greetings to Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed is truly a remarkable man. In the future, anywhere Mr. Reed needs me, I'll go through hell and high water, no questions asked. With that, he quickly hung up, as if afraid of saying another wrong word. Silence descended upon the study. Audrey held her phone, staring blankly at me. For the first time, cracks appeared on her Ice Queen face. Shock, confusion, curiosity, scrutiny. Countless emotions intertwined in her eyes. Outside the door, Brenda and Chloe were so scared they didn't dare breathe. Oh my God, what did I just hear? Victor Thorne, that tyrant, called Ethan Mr. Reed and said he'd go through hell and high water for him? This loser. What did he do to Victor? Could it be he really is some hidden Dragon King boss? I treated him so badly. He won't get revenge on me, will he? I could clearly hear their churning fear. I ignored them, simply looking at Audrey, and asked with a smile, Wife now, do you believe me? That wife? I said it so naturally, with a hint of playful teasing. Audrey's cheeks instantly flushed crimson, like ripe apples. It was the first time in 3 years I called her that. And it was the first time in 3 years she hadn't objected. The Ice Queen melts, and she finally says, husband after returning from the Obsidian Club that night, the last barrier between Audrey and me completely shattered. The Colonel's people were incredibly efficient. Less than 10 minutes after we left the garage, it was spotless, as if nothing had ever happened. Chief Peterson of the Silverwood City Police Department, my old commanding officer, launched the highest level emergency protocol upon receiving my message. A vast net, silent and unseen, spread out for Black Serpent and his remaining forces. Back home, Audrey said nothing. She just quietly got the first aid kit and treated the minor scratches on my hand from the fight. Her head was bowed, tears still clinging to her long eyelashes, her movements so gentle as if she were handling a priceless treasure. I could hear the tumultuous waves in her mind. Wraith, so that's his code name. What kind of life has he lived? How many near-death experiences are hidden behind those scars? I was so foolish before. I treated him like a loser, shamed him, ignored him. But he was silently protecting me all along. Ethan, I am sorry. And thank you. Her thoughts were filled with guilt, heartache, and an undeniable, profound love. I didn't speak, just quietly let her apply the antiseptic. After she finished treating my wounds, she suddenly looked up, her eyes red, and asked earnestly, Ethan, can you tell me, who are you really? I looked at her, smiled, and countered, Does it matter? She paused. I reached out, caressed her cheek, and said softly, You just need to know that from now on, Audrey Hayes' husband is named Ethan Reed. That's enough. She looked into my deep eyes, which reflected her small figure. She didn't press further, just nodded heavily. That night, we talked a lot. Although I didn't reveal the specifics of my past, I told her that my past was over. My future, I only wanted to spend with her. 3 days later, Black Serpent was apprehended. At the scene of his arrest, the police found the long-missing contraband on the boat he was preparing to escape on. It turned out he had faked his death back then, hiding the goods, intending to rise again after his release from prison. But in all his schemes, he never calculated that I would re-emerge for a woman. With Black Serpent's capture, all threats vanished into thin air. My life finally returned to true peace. Only this time, it wasn't just my peace. The atmosphere in the Hayes household had also undergone a radical change. Brenda and Chloe, upon learning what had happened in the garage, Audrey's edited version, of course, looked at me with expressions that had shifted from reverence to fawning. "Oh, my dear son-in-law," Brenda said, holding a plate of sliced gourmet fruit, her face crinkling with smiles. "Quick, try these. I had them flown in from abroad just for you. They're so sweet. Oh my God, my son-in-law is actually a legendary elite operative. I used to call him a loser every day. He won't hold a grudge, will he? No, I need to cling to this golden leg immediately." Chloe also eagerly massaged my back. "Bro-in-law, are you tired? Let me give you a shoulder rub. Is the pressure okay?" Wah, my bro-in-law is too handsome. He's like walking pheromones. I was blind before. I actually thought he was a pushover. If I'd known he was this amazing, I would have chased him myself. No, that's my bro-in-law. I found their transformation amusing, but couldn't be bothered to dwell on it. As long as Audrey was happy, everything else was fine. And my Ice Queen wife had completely melted. She was no longer the high and mighty CEO. In front of me, she would act playful, blush, and cling to me in bed like a little girl, refusing to get up. "Ethan, I don't want to go to work today. Can you take care of me?" She lay on my chest, tracing circles with her finger. I pinched her nose and chuckled. "Of course, I'll take care of you. But Ms. CEO, are you sure Hayes Corp can function normally without you?" She pouted in dissatisfaction. "I don't care. Humph, it's all your fault for spoiling me. Now, without you beside me, I even zone out in meetings, my mind full of you." Listening to her sweet thoughts, my heart melted into a puddle. I rolled over, pinning her beneath me, leaned down, and kissed her lips, murmuring indistinctly, "No, work is fine. But first, you have to pay your living expenses." You bad boy." The room filled with sweet intimacy. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, falling upon us, warm and peaceful. 3 years of dormancy, 3 years of misunderstanding, all transformed into the sweetest fruit in this moment. I was once Wraith, walking in the darkness, abandoning everything for my beliefs and my country. And now, I was Ethan Reed, Audrey Hayes' husband. She was my belief, my country, the everyday joy I was willing to protect for a lifetime. Oh, by the way, wife, I suddenly remembered something, stopping my movements and looking at her with a mischievous grin. She looked at me, her eyes languid. "You've never called me husband before, have you?" Her face instantly flushed crimson, like a perfectly ripe apple. I. Say it for me," I coaxed. She shyly buried her face in the crook of my neck. After a long moment, she whispered, her voice barely audible, "Who husband?" That single word was more beautiful than any music in the world. I smiled, leaned down, and kissed my entire world. And